Good morning and welcome to Morning Vibe. My name is Remmy Majala and thank you so much for staying with us today and of course tuning into the show. This is Morning Vibe and you are watching Youth Pulse. We are still speaking about politics and looking at the state of the nation. And today my guest in studio, well, one of them has come for now, is Newton Madenge. He's an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And we're looking at the heated legal battle that could either sink or save the career of the impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. Newton, yes. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you very much, Remy, for inviting me.
No, you're welcome. I mean,
yes.
we want you to, of course, give us perspective and understanding on the ongoings, of basically what's happening in the court, to elaborate, you know, our constitution, our laws, the different articles, because I think for our audience, there's quite a hiccup here and there. Like, what does this mean? Yes. You know, do we or do we not have, a deputy president in Kenya? What should we really truly call him, in a very, correct manner or form? Yes. But for that, particular aspect, our other guest that we're expecting this morning is Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. He's a lawyer and political analyst. He will also be joining us shortly to, of course, have this conversation. Now, Newton, let's begin from this particular, angle. Now, the president made an application, saying that the case that we are currently, seeing or, watching or hearing rather at the High Court should be moved to the Supreme Court. Yes. Right. On what standing is he making this particular application on?
First, the president is making that application. It's first things first is that application is properly before court. He is justified. He has the right to do that. But now we come to the substance of that application. And that application, in simple terms, it says that this case regarding the impeachment of the deputy president shouldn't be in the High Court. It should be in the Supreme Court of Kenya. And why he is making that is because the Constitution does say that any case emanating from an election of the president, and now by extension the deputy president forming the presidency, is heard at the Supreme Court. You all recall, since the new constitution, we had Raila 1, or in simple terms, we had the Raila case in 2013. In 2017, we still had Raila 2 and 3. That is in 2017. So that is the argument of the president when he says that he is putting a preliminary objection that this case should come from the High Court to Supreme Court. The only issue with that is that the issue that has been taken to the High Court is not about the election of anybody in the presidency. It is about violation of constitutional rights of a person, and that person is the impeached deputy president, Rigathi Gachagua. And what Rigathi Gachagua has gone to court to say is not that he is disputing anything to do with the election or whatever, is that his rights under the Constitution and the Bill of Rights were violated. So that's why actually the case, according to me, is premised at the High Court and it shouldn't go to the Supreme Court. But he has some interpretation because saying that it is ordinarily, it is the Supreme Court that handles matters to do with the presidency and everything that comes with it and how they ascend to power and leave power. He does have an argument, but it doesn't hold any water. That case is squarely in the High Court.
I see. So it's too late for him right now to actually say that the court should move to the the case should move to the Supreme Court.
It's not late, Remy. For the reason that what you saw yesterday was not that the case started. Actually, what yesterday happened is that the case was supposed to start, but it didn't. Reason, there were so many applications, and it just happens that the president's application was not heard yesterday. What was heard yesterday is now the legality or the legitimacy of the panel that had been placed by the Deputy Chief Justice, so that even before this panel begins to hear whether this case belongs to the High Court or Supreme Court, we first agree that all of us, the umpire or the arbiter or the judge, is supposed to hear this case. So once we agree that the judge or the panel have legitimacy and they are properly empaneled by the Deputy Chief Justice, then we will agree now we go to such issues as the President is bringing, whether the case should be in High Court or Supreme Court. And the only issue with that, and my friend here, I've had is a political analyst, I actually know him. Yeah. Maybe he will tell you that that application will not serve the President politically because it will delay him. And it appears he wants this thing to go fast. Right.
Yes. And I want to, of course, welcome to our studios Fanya Mambo Kinuthia. He's a lawyer and political analyst. Thank you so much for coming in, Kinuthia.
Thank you very
We were expecting you. Yeah, we were expecting you to, of course, be here, like Newton mentioned. And, you know, I just began by asking him about the application of the President to basically move this case to the Supreme Court. And I asked, you know, on what standing is he making that? Is it constitutionally, you know, correct, especially at this time when this case is, you know, happening?
To start with, the High Court is a court of original jurisdiction. Mm-hmm. So it means you can start there. And there's no problem with starting there. But we have a head of state who is so bent on impeaching his deputy, he feels, watch a the Supreme Court, because after Supreme Court, there's no appeal. So he wants to start at the apex and finish. Yeah. And that is the whole idea, to defeat justice. Everything that has been done here is just about to defeat justice. You know, I was telling someone the other day, it's like you put someone on trial today being a Tuesday. And then as the trial is going on, you call the hangman, you tell him, prepare a rope, you're going to hang somebody on Friday. And then after you've called the hangman and told him you're going to hang somebody on Friday, you call the mortician. You tell him on Saturday, expect a body that will come. We are hanging someone on Friday. Remember, it's the trial going on. And then after that, you call the people who print the death certificate. You tell them, prepare the death certificate and start preparing yourself for a burial permit. We are going to have someone who is going to be hanged on Friday. He's going to be in a mortuary on Saturday. And then you even call Langata Cemetery and you tell them, now prepare a grave with someone you're going to bury.
So what?
After that, you even make another call.
Like Simon Makonde, the story.
Yes, after that, you even make another call. And you say, now that that has happened, we want a replacement. And you tell the replacement, look for the best blue tie. Start preparing an acceptance speech. The person whose case is in Senate today and Parliament today will be dead on Friday. They will be buried, and we are hoping to actually swear you in on Saturday before even the following week comes. This is a premeditated and predetermined outcome, which is serving to defeat the cost of justice. The whole process should have taken 60 plus 14 days, a whole 74 days. Why are you rushing? Why are you going to? At the Supreme Court, there is no appeal after that. That is wrong. It's about to defeat justice. And we are saying that this should not happen. I have always made it very clear. I never voted for Kenya Kwanza. I have never liked Rigiji, but I like his rights as provided for in the Constitution. And all of us, whether we like him or not, whether we voted for him or not, are going to fight for his rights. Because injustice to one person is injustice to all. And if we do not allow, if we allow the head of state to go ahead and do what he wants, then tomorrow it will be him, the other day it will be you and another person. So when one of us, and when we see that there is injustice being meted on one of us, we all come out. And we say we forget our political differences. We say, I will forget the fact that I didn't like him. I'll forget the fact that I didn't vote for him. I'll forget the fact that I didn't even want Kenya Kwanza to be in government. And I will say, here are human rights of a person being infringed upon, and we are here to fight for them.
I see. One of the other aspects that we saw yesterday is, you know, lawyers representing impeached Deputy President Gachagua, you know, challenging the empowerment, yes, of the bench, and saying that it's illegal. It should have been, you know, CJ herself, Martha Koome, you know, having impaneled it as opposed to DCJ, you know. Yes. So please give us perspective on that.
Okay, what the Deputy President's lawyers were simply saying in court is that the role or the duty of empaneling or constituting a panel to hear a case is a reserve or a preserve of the Chief Justice. That is true, and that's what the Constitution says. And thereafter, the same Constitution goes ahead and says that some of these powers can be delegated to the Deputy Chief Justice. Now, here comes the issue. at what time or when can a Chief Justice delegate some of these powers? And the Constitution says when she is indisposed and for good reason, she does that delegation. Now, the problem that we are having and the problem that the Deputy President's lawyers have is this, is this delegation of constituting a panel, can it be delegated? Is it administrative? Because the lawyers on the other side, including the state, through the Attorney General, they are saying that this is something that is purely administrative and therefore it can be delegated. But then again, you ask yourself, the role of the Chief Justice as a president of the judiciary, the role of the Chief Justice as the head or chairperson of the Judicial Service Commission and the head of the Supreme Court. You ask yourself, at what time is she dispensing administrative issues and at what time is he conducting substantive issues? To me, impaneling a panel to hear such weighty issues is a substantive role of the Chief Justice. Reason is, and I didn't hear it yesterday in court, is that at the tail end, the person who is supposed to be present when a president or a deputy president is being sworn in is the Chief Justice. Therefore, the Chief Justice ought to have known, if at all she is the one who did this delegation, that whatever is going to be at the tail end ought to have emanated from her. She needs to have started it. So if she didn't start it, she cannot end it. And if she completes it, she will have a problem, because people will be saying, wait, when this panel was being made, it was supposed to be made by the Chief Justice, but it was made by the Deputy Chief Justice, and then she'll have a problem. How was this panel made? So that application by the President's, Deputy President's lawyers was properly before court. And it's good that it be brought at this early age, but I would want maybe to advise the judiciary or the judges, and specifically the judges of the High Court, that the issues before court right now, they're not the issues for the Rigathi Gachagua alone, or the impeached Deputy President. As he says, these are issues to do with violation of the Constitution. These violations could be visited on you another day. And therefore, the High Court must be very careful how they handle this. Whether if they allow politics to play into the judiciary, they are going to have a problem in the near future, because also people will also demand that the Deputy Chief Justice does some of these things, even at night. And this is a very bad precedent. And as somebody was asking, what is the rush? What is the hurry? And what happens, the good thing with the judiciary and our courts, is that we are governed by rules and regulations. And even the High Court, it has its own act on how it should conduct business and timelines. And therefore, it doesn't mean that because I should hear a case within 60 days, between the first day and 60th day, even if I hear it within 1 or 2 days, it's okay. Because that is not the point. The point is to dispense justice. And as everybody is throwing the word around, that justice must not only be done, must be seen to be done. Therefore, the High Court, led by Justice Ogola, this evening at 3:30 p.m., they have to rule on that issue, whether the Deputy Chief Justice sat properly on Saturday, you can imagine, and it's not a problem.
And I would like Kinuthia here to now,
yes,
give us perspective on that. There's also the question of the judge, the bench sitting on a Saturday, and the question of where, like what he mentioned, is where is the Chief Justice in all of this? It's in our stories, it's in our headlines. She seems to be a bit quiet right now, but
thank you.
Yeah,
the Chief Justice is in the right place, because if she had followed what was supposed to have been done, she would have participated in the swearing in of a deputy president. That would have been wrong. The fact that she did not participate in that swearing in, the fact that the courts, and then the fact that she respected the court orders coming from Chacha Mwita, which is part of her own bench, shows that she is not supporting this nonsense. And sometimes it's good to look at also what happens outside the court. These are the same people, the three of them, the president, now the first lady, and the Chief Justice, are known to go to a specific church. in Karen, and that church itself is also saying, no, we are not part of this mess. We don't want this nonsense. So as a country, we must say that the Chief Justice is probably under immense pressure to swear in now Professor Kindiki Kithure. You, a constitutional lawyer, a consummate constitutional lawyer who has been teaching law at the university for many years. Why are you there trying to benefit from injustice? If I was you, the first thing I would do is recuse myself. I would say I will not accept to be sworn in.
No, we had a conversation here yesterday, and one of the aspects, this gentleman was mentioning that he was a student of Professor Kindiki at the university, and he also said that, you know, Professor is soft-spoken, has a way of doing things, so it appears to be, or you know, in that particular aspect, that the professor may be having a moral crisis. Do you think he may be having a moral crisis?
He has no moral crisis because he still has his voice with him. He should have spoken. He should have come and said, the law doesn't allow me to be sworn in. I have not resigned for the last 6 months. I have not been a member of a political party. I am a public servant. The law does not qualify me to become Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. That he should have said. And he should have said, thank you, Mr. President, but I respect the rule of law. Professor Githu Muigai is my lecturer right now. I'm currently doing my master's in constitutional law, democracy and governance at the University of Nairobi, and he's teaching me, and he's been a role model and an icon, and I'm deeply worried when I see him say that the Deputy Chief Justice can do what she did at midnight. I mean, why are you doing such things in the wee hours of the night, waking up and constituting? So I'm imagining they called the judges at night. Why are you waking them up at night? What constitutional crisis do we have? And if we have, who created it? Yourselves, you're the ones who went through impeaching a deputy president who was legally in office. So you create a constitutional crisis, and then you start waking up people.
So we do have a constitutional crisis?
Yes, we do. Because you're waking up people in the middle of the night right now and just telling them, come and help us resolve a constitutional crisis that they manufactured themselves. The reason I'm saying we have a constitutional crisis is because this whole thing hangs in abeyance. Nobody knows whether Rigiji is still deputy president or not. The constitution envisages that Kenya must have a deputy president. That is what the law says. So you create a vacancy in the office of the deputy president. Now, God forbid, if something was to happen to the head of state, we are all mortal beings. God can decide at night, today is the day I'm coming for you, and you can't stop that. That is God. If that was to happen, do we have a deputy president? And who is the deputy president? And what would happen? Does it mean the Speaker of the National Assembly would take over for 60 days and would go into an election? Do we even have an IEBC? Do we have the resources for an election? So this is bad manners on the part of government. Stop excusing it. It's horrible bad manners. They wrote there, I saw in the president's appointment to Kindiki, saying that after consultation with IEBC, which IEBC? Where does it exist? IEBC has no commissioners. It has no chairman. It cannot hold a by-election today. How does it then become an IBC that would say that they have been consulted and they have okayed the appointment of Professor Kithure Kindiki? So shame on this government. The first thing they need to do is first go back and reconstitute IBC. And I'm praying that one of the things that the courts will rule as soon as today or tomorrow is that let IBC be constituted so that it can clear and okay this appointment. Ndio wakiconstitute IEBC, we get rid of all these horrible parliamentarians that we've been wishing to get rid of. They all voted yes to the finance bill they've done. Kenyans have signed signatures. We have constituencies where we're already ready. It's a question of constitute IEBC, we take them home, we recall them. So when sometimes you do something bad, it comes to bite you. This administration has done bad things. One of them is they have refused to constitute IEBC. They have had all sorts of excuses. Now the IEBC they did not constitute is biting them, and it's biting them painfully, because I don't see how the judges will get out of this mess without mentioning the IEBC issue. Right. They are a critical component in the selection of a deputy president, and they have to play a part, and they are not there. Right. Oh, I thank God they didn't do it.
All right, so Newton, what he mentioned, let's take a look at the constitutional crisis. Do we have one? And then, do we have a deputy president or not?
First, actually that's an issue I have been wanting to address myself on, because I think everybody has been having their own opinion on it, and according to me, we do not have a constitutional crisis, and we have a substantive deputy president in the name of Rigathi Gachagua. This is the reason. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, was taken through a process that is in the National Assembly, and then it culminated into the Senate, and he was impeached. And that process was challenged in court, actually twice. And not one, but 2 court orders were issued staying the execution of the decision of the Senate. And therefore, that tells you that if, and that comes to the issue of what are these orders, or what is the implication of these orders, is that to this end, or at this point, whatever the National Assembly and the Senate did has an issue, and that the legal system has a way of poking hole in this, and therefore it has an implication, or it could go either way. It could be nullified entirely, or it could be upheld, and therefore it was stayed and set aside. Not set aside, but it was stayed. Therefore, that process is as if it never happened for now, until it is confirmed by the court. Therefore, the Honorable Deputy President, Rigathi Gachagua, is substantively in office. To say that he is not in office, that he is impeached, is to say that we don't respect that court order. And you also that on Saturday, when they were supposed to was it on Saturday or on Friday, when they were supposed to now appoint and swear in Professor Kidiki, they were unable. Why? Because of this court order. And if this court order did not stop or did not annul for a moment the process of the National Assembly and the Senate, then we would already have had Professor Kidiki sworn in. But because that those court orders are valid and they are constitutional, that means that the status quo remains. And the status quo before all those shenanigans began, or those legal processes began, is that the Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya was Rigathi Gachagua. Therefore, we don't have a constitutional crisis. We would have a constitutional crisis if that process was not stayed and the President did not appoint or did not nominate a Deputy President, or the Chief Justice refused to go and swear him in. Therefore, we would have a constitutional crisis. But right now, we don't have. What I can say we do have is a political crisis. And that is why they are bringing their political crisis to the courts. And that's why you saw yesterday, the court had an issue starting. Where are we going to start this thing? It's crazy. There's nothing legal here. Everybody's bringing their own issues. Right. So we need to take a short break. Right. But when we're coming back, I need us to look at politics and the jurisprudence, because one, clearly here we are more on the political end, and Kenyans don't understand how our constitution seems to be working right now, you know, especially when it comes to the aspect of the 60 days and the 2 weeks. Everything has been so fast, and there's the concern of public participation quite a lot with our citizenry. Right, we're taking a short break. We'll be back with more. Stay with us.
Yeah, Mr. DJ
Lucky. When it comes to playing the best music videos, we've got you covered. K24 TV Mix Master. When it comes to a lineup of all the fresh DJs, we've got that too. Yeah! Check this out. Caribbean, Afrobeat, our famous and infamous Kenyan jazz.
By the way, let me tell you mine.